of Newysports TV. I believe that's right. Surely someone out there is counting, but episode 8 sounds about right. I'm double checking it. I really don't want to get anything wrong here. It is episode 8 of Newysports TV. How about episode 7 last week? An hour long, 404 views. And it's a big thank you to everyone who's been watching this, whether it be just for a minute to see their result or whatever. As the season goes on, I'm going to try and split it into segments and at least guide you to where your team, your club is in the video. I had someone say that no one really wants to look at me talk for an hour, and I agree with that. But at this stage, the editing, there's not much editing. I don't really have the time to edit. At this stage, it is sort of touch and go with the videos, and there may be some work done during the season. I'm learning as the season goes on. Anyway, we move on to FFA Cup Round 2. What a weekend. I've got the Jets shirt on at the moment. Let's go straight into that actually. How about this afternoon? Central Coast Mariners 0, Newcastle Jets 1. This site deals with the local leagues, but I'm a passionate follower of the Jets. I'm not the most passionate. I've actually missed the last 2 home games due to other commitments with trial matches and whatnot. I thought I was going to miss this derby, but luckily the FFA Cup was on Saturday, and well, I made the derby, and trust me, it was worth it. And I'm thinking of, calling it a day early. I think Cooks Hill are playing someone on the 9th of April, when I think it might be South Cardiff. When the next derby's on, that's 9th. Getting confused here. That is not the first day of my season, but I will have a match that day, no doubt. So it's going to be tough to fit it in, but this derby today, this was brilliant. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't effective, but it was just unbelievable to win at Central Coast Stadium. So many Jets fans there, and just the passion shown when that final whistle went. It was amazing. I'm a follower of Manly in the NRL, and I was there 5 years ago now when they won the grand final. This was similar scenes, really. I was looking on Fox Sports for the video of the full-time celebrations, just to see myself acting like a complete maniac, but unfortunately they went straight to studio. But it was a great moment, a great night for all Jets fans, and I know there's a lot of Mariners fans, coasties, that play in the New FM League, that follow Newysports. To them today I say this is how we've felt for years. So welcome to the Wooden Spoon area. What can I say? Okay, we move on. Before I get too far overboard, we move on to the FFA Cup. This was there wasn't as many games this week, but it was a decent weekend of football. I got to 4 games, 4 and a bit. I got to the end of the Fortin game, but I'm not going to say anything about that because I wasn't really there for the whole. I was there for what, a minute. The first game in its entirety that I watched, Muswellbrook FC 0, Edgeworth Eagles 20. Okay, that's Edgeworth 20, Muswellbrook 0. What do you say? The score sheet, it doesn't lie. there was no match here for Muswellbrook. None. And I felt like that when I predicted that the game would finish 14-0. There are people out there that I've seen comment saying that these NPL clubs shouldn't be there till round 3. This is a really good example of why. It's going to happen though. It's going to happen either round 2, round 3. NPL teams will verse the lower grades. Last year I can't really remember an NPL team versing a Zone League 2 team. And Muswellbrook, to be fair, aren't the strongest Zone League 2 team. So Edgeworth, this was just a walk in the park. The park, Lyle Carr Oval, being the venue for that one. 1-0 after 2 minutes, Brodie Taylor scoring his first of 2 goals. 5-0 inside half an hour, and it went from there. Daniel McBreen scoring 6 goals. The former A-League Golden Boot winner. Saw him play at Cooks Hill a few weeks ago. He's going to be good for Edgeworth this year. I feel like he's going to really add something to that squad. And those of you who know the results will know that Broadmeadow Magic also got a big win. And I think between Edgeworth and Magic, it's very hard to pick which one of them is a better side. Dylan Holes scoring 5 goals, Keanu Moore 2 goals, Josh Evans 1, Aaron McLaughlin 1, Aiden Bryce 1, Chris Fayers 1, and Liam Spurway 1. I think that adds up to 20. Yeah, there's not much you can say about this. This was just too good a team against a team that weren't really not up for it. Muswellbrook, they didn't lay down. They didn't, by all rights, they could have just stood there and let them score 50. It wouldn't have made much of a difference, but Muswellbrook it's not their level. Let's put it straight, it's not their level, and they shouldn't be worrying too much about this, okay? Their goalkeeper, Mason Solly, this is going to sound stupid, their goalkeeper was their best player, I thought. Conceded 20. It could have been close to 30 if it wasn't for him. He was really good in goals. They had a few young looking players, 18, 19-ish. I might be wrong there. I get the team sheets, I don't get the ages, so I don't really know, but it looked like a side that are a work in progress. And look, they're not going to be playing Edgeworth week in, week out. They're going to be playing Zone League 2. So my advice to Muswellbrook is to just forget about this one, move on, and work for the next month or so in building up to the Zone League season. Wallsend FC 2, Charlestown City Blues 3. Probably the game of the day, really, of the 4 games that I watched. I went into this thinking Wallsend were a real chance of beating Charlestown City. With respect to Charlestown, they are not, in my opinion, they are not one of the top 4 NPL clubs. That's my opinion anyway. They're not the best NPL team going, but they certainly did the job against Wallsend, and on another day Charlestown may have got another 1 or 2 goals. Ben Hughes opened the scoring for the Blues. Tegan Marcus equalised for Wallsend, and on that note, personally, Tegan Marcus is a great player. He's one of my personal favourite players in the New FM division, along with Winston Oki. They've got Gotcha Abshalava now. This Wallsend team is a really they're potentially going to be, again, one of the better teams in UFM. That attacking line is very good, and Cam Hughes, I believe it is. Don't have it written down here. I think it's Cam Hughes adds a bit to the squad. Chris Gazzard, you know, this team, Wallsend FC, this is a good lineup, and they shouldn't be too worried about this result. They won the grand final last year, and they deserve to win that grand final. Anyway, we move on. Well, let's not move on. Let's say that I think Wallsend will be in the top 4 again this year. Now we move on. Tegan Marcus scoring the equaliser. Scott Smith would smash in a double. Bang bang, just like that. 3-1 for Charlestown City. And Wallsend scored late on. I didn't actually catch the goal scorer. Too little too late. Charlestown City going through. Left Lyle Car Oval and headed over to Magic Park. South Cardiff 1, Adamstown 3. The Rosebuds, this wasn't their best display. And I overheard the coach, Graham Law, after the game say that this wasn't really that good of a display. He actually said that to me as well. There's room for improvement for Adamstown. They turned the ball over a lot. There was a lot of long passes that just didn't really find the man. They've had some not too good results in pre-season. They've had some losses, but all importantly, they've moved on to round 3 of the FFA Cup, which I'm sure if the NPL season had started, Graham Law might not be so ecstatic about that. Some coaches don't like having the FFA Cup coincide with the season, but NPL's still 5 weeks away or so, March 12th and March 13th are the next round of FFA Cup. So Adamstown will be happy with that going through. There was 3 penalties in this game. South Cardiff saving the first. Mikel Breckenridge, the captain and goalkeeper. Pretty dropping a pen, that's not good. Breckenridge, pretty decent performance yesterday. It was a good save, keeping that penalty out from Chris Berlin. Owen Littlewood scored the opener for Adamstown. Alex Reid doubled the lead. Just before the break, South Cardiff were given a penalty, but they missed. Turns out to be crucial. Another penalty for South Cardiff. Corey Nicholas scoring that goal. And the game was ended in the 88th minute by Tom Lino, like the flooring. I don't know. Not the most impressive performance from Adamstown, as I mentioned. But they move on. South Cardiff, I'm not completely sold on this team. I think it's hard. It's still pre-season. Look, South Cardiff have got West Wallsend next week. That's a tough opener at West Wallsend as well. I think the Gunners have got. It's a mystery of how they're going to go. You know, I think 6th or 7th, to be honest, in the new FM league. That's my prediction, but they could be better than that if they get it together. Then why not? Hamilton Azzurri 0 defeated by Broadmeadow Magic 17. So that's 37 goals in 2 games of NPL clubs versus lower zone league teams. Azzurri never stood a chance really. James Virgili, former Jet, scoring 7 goals. 7. That is a bucket load of goals. Cal Bradbury scored 5 goals and a few assists to go with it. Michael Kanarowski scored. Jared Johnston and Shane Paul also getting on the score sheet. Paul getting 2, the former Belswans man. Ben Higgins rounding out the scoring for Magic. This team, Broadmeadow Magic, they look better this year. They got to the semis the last year and were slightly unlucky not to get into the grand final. They came very close to doing that. You just have to, you have to look at the calibre of players that Broadmeadow Magic have let go of. Reece Tippett, the names aren't coming to mind at the moment. Chris Berlin at Adamstown. There's a couple others as well. Midfielder Callum Lewis leaving them, going to the Jaffers. These guys are good players. But then you bring in guys like James Virgili, Michael Kanarowski, and even Jared Johnson and Shane Paul. These guys are good players. Magic are a very good team, and it would not surprise me to see them win the NPL this year. It's going to be a very interesting year in the NPL. I think there's a few good teams. So, but yeah, Magic, they look good, and they were very, very professional about this game, as were Edgeworth earlier in the day. They could have just taken the piss, sent out a reserve team, and still probably won. Let's be serious. Edgeworth had most of their main guys out there. I don't have the team sheet at the moment. Magic had a pretty full string lineup. They took these games seriously. The scoreline should be a surprise to anyone, really. And Azzurri, to their credit, Azzurri came into this game. I watched them come out of the change room. They had training kits. The coach was wearing a suit with a club tie. They had 4 or 5 assistant coaches, trainers, in jackets, and they looked professional. They had a cameraman there for them. They come out onto the field and 30 or 40 of their fans up on the southern hill went absolutely berserk. It felt like a real cup tie, a classic cup tie. And it was great to see all those Azzurri fans. It gave me chills watching them come out of the field, because you could just feel the emotion of it being the biggest game in that club's history. And to be fair, the coach and all them, they were having fun. They were having the time of their lives at Magic Park, and to enjoy that time in the limelight of FFA Cup, I have to give them credit. This was a very good display from Azzurri. They never gave up. It would have been really, really good to see them get 1 goal. Wasn't to be though. A couple times it did get heated. A couple dodgy tackles to say the least, but a class act from Azzurri. And from what I've seen from the other Zone League 3 teams the last few weeks in the FFA Cup, I think Azzurri are going to just ease their way to the top. There's probably teams out there now saying that's not going to happen, but they look really good, this team. They've recruited well, they've got sponsors on board, they're getting serious about their football, Hamilton Azzurri, and it was good to see. Well, we move on. As you can tell, I'm very tired at the moment. It's 11 o'clock and only been off the train from Gosford for about an hour and a half, so straight into this. We move on anyway to the other results. Raymond Terrace 1, West Wallsend 5. Westie too good for Raymond Terrace. And it doesn't surprise me, but Westie were obviously better this week than they were last against Stockton. Dom Langowski scoring a hat-trick, Ty Jones and Ryan Cole also scoring. Morgan Reynolds getting the goal for Raymond Terrace, beating 2 or 3 defenders in process, and Bryson Cox being sent off. It would not be a West Wallsend game if there wasn't a sent-off. Yeah, it happens a lot across all 4 grades at West Wallsend. It's a passionate club. Bryson's a passionate guy, and he's going to miss the next cup game, but I think they got the depth. You know, that's only one position really. It's not too hard to fill that one position, but West Wallsend is too good. Too good for Raymond Terrace on the day, 5-1 at Macquarie Field. I'm trying to hurry this up because I keep yawning and really just need to go to sleep. Beresfield United 2, Cardiff FC 1. There's no other way to describe it. This was the result of the week. That's what I wrote yesterday, and that's what I still believe now. This Beresfield team, they should be in New FM. This first grade team should be in New FM. It should be a 12-team competition, and that's what I believe. That's what I believed last year. They may not have the depth with 17s. I think they got a few young guys coming through, so they might be able to get 19s and reserves. But look, I'm hearing the field's going to be upgraded next year or whatever. Beresfield United, this is a serious football club. This is a serious team. They've sent Toronto packing, now they've sent Cardiff packing. Who knows who's next, you know? Beresfield used to be in the first division, and I seriously believe they should be. I know why they're not. The ground doesn't meet the requirements, but when it does, if it does, they should be straight in there the next season. Because it's not New FM season yet, but the season starts next week, and having this bye, I don't like having a bye in the competition. It should be 12 teams or maybe 10, whatever works. They're rumoured restructure next year, but Beresfield United, this is a good team. So a classy win. Danny Burt scoring a goal and getting sent off. That's Danny Burt for you. They handled it well last week without him, and I think they can do it again. It would be interesting to see Beresfield United get a team like Magic or Edgeworth. You know, they could get a favourable draw. Who knows, they could get Fortin or Singleton and probably send them packing at the rate they're going. 2 New FM teams down, why not more? Anyway, Cardiff FC, look, this wasn't good enough. I sat here last week and I absolutely blasted Cooks Hill. I was there for that game. I wasn't there for Cardiff, but I've spoken to a few people involved, not in the first grade team, a couple guys from the lower grade, and someone from the committee. And from what I've been told, Cardiff just didn't show up, and that's not good enough. So they're out of the FFA Cup, and I'm sure that Gumsey and the guys, they're probably pretty annoyed with this. It is cup football, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I, as a Cooks Hill supporter, as a Cooks Hill player, I'm really worried, because I think Cardiff are going to use this, and they're going to go to the athletics track next week and come out firing. 2 teams who have been knocked out of the FFA Cup by lower opposition. With respect to Beresfield, they are in the Zone Premier League. it's going to be an interesting game next week, and not good enough for Cardiff. Not much more you can say. Lake Macquarie City 1, Valentine FC 2. Valentine have been probably the form team of pre-season in the NPL. They've knocked off Maitland, Lambton, someone else. Now Lakes, of course. Magic, I believe they beat. No. They beat someone. They've beaten a lot of teams in pre-season. The New FM Grand Finalists from last year, promotion winners. They had the Wood over Lakes last year, winning promotion, that 4-0 win, and now they've gone back to Macquarie Field and beaten the Roosters 2-1 to send them packing from the FFA Cup. Valentine, a team to watch this year. You know, there are squads that come up and go straight back down, pardon me. There's squads that come back, that go up I should say, come back down to a New FM. That's what happens with promotion and relegation, but Valentine, I don't think they can make the 4, but I think they're going to get a few wins this year in the NPL. Team to watch, definitely. Fortin 6, New Lambton 1. I've had a few people tell me that it was 7-1, but the team sheet says 6, or the referees said 6. Northern's Twitter account says 6, so I'm going with 6. Jamie Subert getting 5 goals. Nathan McAllister also getting 1. Jamie Subert, this guy is a big addition to the Fortin Redbacks Football Club. If he stays fit and healthy and they fire this year, Daryl McAllister's side, they could definitely push for a top 4 spot. There's no denying that. I think the competition in New FM this year will be stronger as a result. Talking about strong New FM teams, Singleton 9, Merriweather Advance 1. All-round class from Singleton. Robbie Lopez getting on the score sheet. It's been a long day. It's the simple stuff like scoring sheet that messes me up. Under 19s player Nathan Hall also scoring, and I added him in that article a couple of weeks ago, being one of the best young players in the league. Not being one of, but the potential to be one of. Scoring a goal for first grade. The story of the day though, Jackson Cox scoring 7 goals, which is a club record for the Singleton Strikers. They've been around for a while too, so that's a big thing for Jackson. He's a very good player. He can be one of the best players in the league if he wants to be this year, if he stays fit, stays in form. Singleton's squad is good. A lot of people sort of said maybe they've lost 1 or 2 important guys, maybe they're not going to be good. I think Singleton have the potential, and being an away game at Singleton is probably, yeah, I'd say the toughest ground in the league to go to. It's a long distance to travel. Passionate bunch up there at Singleton, and this was a good win. They move on. Beresfield FC 1, Western Workers 6. Credit to Beresfield FC. Holding Western to single digits, getting that goal. You can't ask for much more. You know, you saw those scores, like the 17-0, 20-0, even one of the next games I'm going to read out, 10-0. So 6-1 for Beresfield FC. They're a Zone League 1 team, so you can't ask for much more than that. Hunter Simba 1, Maitland FC 8. Simba, apparently, from what I've been told, Simba did get a player sent off. They were playing a pretty physical game of football. They were never going to beat Maitland, let's be serious about that, but they got on the score sheet, and you know, that win against Ref last week, that'll go down in the memory books, and Simba will take that into the season and build confidence on that. Katara South 0, Lambton Jaffers 10. Not much more to say than that. Katara South just outclassed on the day by the Jaffers. Another very good NPL squad. No goal scorers there for that one, but definitely the Jaffers too good for Katara South. Morisset 2-2 with Jesmond, and Jesmond progressing on penalties. How about Jesmond FC, the Rams? They're starting, they love this competition, don't they, the FFA Cup. Last year's epic run to the semi-finals, well, not the semi-finals, but the Final 4 of Northern New South Wales. Final 8 of Northern New South Wales. I'll get it right soon enough. They can do it again if they want. If they really push for it, we'll see what happens with the draw. They'll be very delighted getting a penalty shootout win over a team that got promoted from Zone League 1 in Morisset. Jasmine just getting over the line on the day. Mayfield United 0, Hamilton Olympic 6. Leo Bertos scoring 2 goals, Pat Brown scoring 2, Ben Coyner and Daniel Bird also scoring for Hamilton Olympic. Mayfield are a good team. The Tigers, they're a good team in Zone Premier League, and you know, the gap's not too bad there. 6-0 is definitely, it's a fair win, but Mayfield won't be too distraught by that. They're playing a team 2 divisions higher than them, so that they'll move on. Olympic will be without Simon Mooney, sent off for a bit of a push and shove, if you will. I wasn't there, but that's what I've been told anyway. Medowie 0, Dudley Redhead 7. Dudley. They didn't get lucky last week against Cooks Hill. They were the better side. They went through on penalties. They should have gone through with a scoreline like 7-0, the way Cooks Hill played. But maybe 4-1 would be more realistic. But too good for Medowie. This Dudley team are good. Sam Lavis scoring 2, Kyle Hector, Kyle Harvey, Reese Booth, Josh Fogarty and Mitchell Arms all getting on the score sheet. Just the better side on the day, Dudley, and who knows what might happen in round 3. I'm not sure what goes on with the draw. There's only a couple Zone League teams left, being Jesmond being one of them and Beresfield being the other, Beresfield United. So whether Dudley may draw Jesmond or Beresfield, against Jesmond they should be the favourites, maybe not against Beresfield, but Dudley definitely a team to watch this year. So on that, the FFA Cup round 3 will be drawn this week by Northern New South Wales Football. The games will be played on the weekend of March 12th and March 13th, and the new FM teams that are involved will be playing midweek to avoid clashing with their fixtures in the league. So that's how that works. Alright, there was 2 other games to go through this weekend. Toronto did play today, but I don't know what the scores were. I do know that they got a win in probably 19s or something. I saw something on Facebook about it, but I'm not too sure. They played Yamina, I believe it was. So Toronto going in, played a lot of games, the Stags, and another team who've played a fair few games recently is Belswans. They played Cessnock City today, both teams out of the FFA Cup, of course. Belswans on a break pardon me, they're through to round 3. They had a bye this week. Cessnock knocked out last week. Under 17s finished 2-2 draw, which it's pretty decent. But I've seen both these teams play, and to be fair, neither. This is pre-season, so it may change, but neither really stood out. I think the 17s comp is going to be fairly open this year. You'd expect me to say this, but the best 17s team I've seen this year is Cookshill United. So, I play at Cookshill, of course I'm going to say that, but they look good. Belswans 2-2 with Cessnock. We'll see what happens in round 1 with those. The 19s, Cessnock I think pulled out. I'm unsure why that happened. So the Jaffers filled in the NPL 19s. 2-1 over Belswans, which that's a decent result for Belswans. The Jaffers 19s are a good side. So Belswans should be happy with that. They lost to Cessnock won 4-2 in the under 23s. Probably Cessnock's strongest team. Definitely last year, and at this rate maybe again this year, because first grade went down 4-1 to Belswans. Cessnock, it's a big opener next week. Let's talk about next week. I will be doing the previews in the next couple of days. I will hopefully be getting up there for Cessnock versus Singleton. That's a big game for both clubs. That's a good way to start the season with a derby. Yet to see how that goes, of course. Cessnock. I feel Cessnock are a little bit further behind the 8 ball at the moment than Singleton are, so what happens next week. It doesn't happen now, of course. Toronto versus Wallsend next week is a very tough test for Toronto. I'll be doing my tips. I've already got most of the tips in my head. Wallsend probably will win this game. South Cardiff and Westie, another one that's tough to call. Another good opener. Lakes versus Belswans, big test for Belswans, and Lakes, they've got to hold their own. Lakes are going to be looked at as promotion favourites, if there even is promotion this year. I'm not sure if there is. Lakes probably have the best side on paper, so there'll be eyes on them to start the season well. And finally, the opening game of the season is Cookshill versus Cahaiba. It doesn't get better than that. That is a brilliant opening game. Two teams that are coming off FFA Cup exits. Two serious teams. And across all 4 grades, Cookshill versus Cahaiba will be one to watch. 19s especially. Even 23s to an extent. I'm excited. I'm excited that New FM is back this week. It is the main point of focus here on Newysports is the New FM First Division. It is back. It's going to be back with a bang on Saturday and Sunday, so yeah, I'll probably be back next Monday night here on Newysports TV. Hopefully this was a lot shorter than last week. That was a really long episode. But yeah, another solid weekend of FFA Cup action, a big derby win today.